If somebody was really good at making vlogs, it would look like this. They would have 5 to 10 outlines, basic outlines, and for every 10 they would have carefully stitched in, as it were, a reference going over to the next topic. So the next 10 would have a general reference to a key point that was made, or a general overall topic of the first 10 shorts. Would have a common reoccurring theme. And these would be stitched together every other one, so that either visual, verbal, commentary, or thought building, that by the time you're on vlog 20, you could essentially go back in all the throughout the last 15 shorts videos and be able to reference either, again, verbal points, vocabulary, visual points, or idea building, where if I mention something about psychology in video number 1 or 2, I would have talked about what psychology means to me, or the common definition that I would be using. In this one, raw footage, I could refer to as gray noise, as different than white noise or different than black. Just, something that would be venting, or something that's necessarily soothing, like ASMR, or built some value of entertainment. This would be a gray noise, where, as the poet writes, it may not be for everybody, or at a different time in your life, it may occur to you differently, or you could totally listen to it once, come back and revisit it, and have a whole other preference or point of view regarding what was said. For this idea of gray noise, the main theme initiative standing as now would be to a note, or the theme would be a note to future self, with the idea in mind that let's say you had to learn a book, you had to learn a topic, and all the resources and everything, for some reason, you needed to get to know. Our first initial premonitions of that are soft fantasies. Somehow these soft fantasies lead to frustration in many means, where we're like, okay, well, as soon as I learn all the math book and all the topics, and I'm just going to be this superior chess game player. This gray noise is to capture those initial premonitions and use them as a catalyst to project the future goals. So right now, standing, I'm in need of studying a few topics for a major machine that we're going to operate and learn how to do maintenance on. And some of it is organic learning, which means, okay, well, there's a problem, it's not really explained in any books, there's not really anybody alive that could explain how the problem should be solved. So having enough awareness, enough tools, enough know-how, and enough exposure to be able to you develop a troubleshooting program to find the right answer to recalibrate that machine or put it back into calibration and service. So these gray noise would be a decompression of a way to capture those initial sensation and ideas to reevaluate potentially at the end of a given time, whether it's a month or whether it's a week, whether it's okay, well, after I've read the book or after I've been qualified, return to these videos and been able to see that how correct I was or how much data changed, and so the original correct idea became non-applicable. It wasn't a matter of right or wrong, just that things had changed and the original definition was no longer valid. And also a way to what I call a defrag, which is using a computer term the same way that they compile information on a computer. Every once in a while you can defrag a hard drive, which is putting all the little tiny pieces together and making sure they're stitched. In this context, I'm referring to defrag as all the ideas have been bouncing around, or whatever metaphor you want to say, echo chamber, meditations, ahas, fractals, some sort of facets that have been circulating for some given amount of time, kind of like an epiphany in the moment where everything is just so clear while you're visiting that thought. And then later on, as you go think about it, you're like, oh, it was so clear at the time. What are some of the major points that I was trying to get to? So this gray noise is an idea that would be able to capture those things in a few moments. So far, under 10 minutes is what we're looking at. This would be a raw footage, and the raw footage is just a vocal note, footnote, for myself to remember that often in real filming and the filming industry, or audio industry, but mostly in filming, is that sometimes whole days of filming, 24 hours, 100 hours, is filmed in order to capture even one segment of 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And sometimes there's a pretty high ratio of even close to 10 to 15 minutes. Every 10 hours, you have 10 to 15 minutes of useful footage. So this is raw footage, again, gray noise, what the direction that I'm going to coin here in this context. And again, to further develop the idea of decompressing is to go with mind flow of the intensity, of the clarity of the thought, that if it happened this way, this is how it would play out. Being able to put that into a verbal context memo with enough explanations and maybe intonations or tones or key reference points that I could remind my future self of where I wanted to be at the end of the week, or where I thought this initial idea was going and primarily. So this is the first entry of gray noise, January, week 2, video 1.